You had to be kind of like rug salesman there.
What else you got for us?
This one is more in tune with what the audience would expect, I think, with the
Okay.
city. Who is who was the greatest figure who ruled the city?
Okay.
A lot of good choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I think you already got one, Georgi.
I'm thinking how many people would be upset if I pick Enrico Dandolo.
He's buried there, you know.
Yeah, big flex.
There's a nice little spot for him in the Hagia Sophia. He's got to be good, right?
Yeah. But no, I'm not going him. Greatest figure who ruled the city.
I can think of a dozen, like right off the head.
Oh, here, I'll just pick an order. Ege, what do you pick?
I would probably say Mehmet II.
Okay.
Pretty solid pick there.
Solid pick.
Nitin?
I'm gonna go with Constantine the Great.
Okay.
Okay, Georgi.
When I'm in a dilemma, I always go for what the thing that's gonna upset more people. So instead of going Alexios, I'm gonna go Basil the Great, or Basil II, as you know him.
You have a real eye for picking out the good rulers of the civilization. You pick them out, man.
Are we going to go?
Right.
You know, let's go with Basil first then.
Okay. Basil the Bulgar Slayer, right? Okay. There are a few people, there's good rulers, there's great rulers, and there's rulers who are so good that people for the next 100 years fail at trying to be like them. Basil set the standard for what a ruler should be. And everybody tried to emulate him so much that they totally failed and went into these heedless battles where they died because they didn't know how to be like him. Because only one person in the world history knew how to be like Basil, and it was the Bulgar Slayer himself. We're talking about a guy who refused to really wear the robes of the Roman emperor. He was mainly geared up in general gear and soldier gear the whole time because he was campaigning from one place to another. And this guy takes a very unstable empire, fights off so many foes, internal and external, and he wins again and again, but not because he's blessed like Alexander and has a really good army, but because of perseverance. In fact, he narrowly escapes the Battle of Travna with just his horse and a couple of bodyguards, where his whole army gets destroyed. And then he goes back with a vengeance and obliterates Bulgaria and other regions as well. But then he's extremely tolerant, sets up a good administration. So you got military prowess, you got administrative prowess, and finally, to correct Nitin on something, it wasn't just because they looked at the Hagia Sophia and they saw the light. It was a political alliance engineered by Basil himself. And with that one political alliance, the Kievan Rus and the whole of Russia accepted Greek Orthodoxy. So let's give him the U stat of diplomacy as well. Woo!
Let's go with Mehmet II. Ege?
All right, to start things off with, he was only 21 years old when he conquered the city. That is really, really impressive. And usually in Western education, we tend to think about the 1453 siege as the fall of Constantinople, but many can argue that the siege started the revival of Constantinople during the reign of Mehmet II. During his reign, he rebuilt many infrastructure projects around the city. He also, while during the Middle Ages, the city had been severely depopulated. He got so many people from within Anatolia and the Balkans to resettle in the city itself. He gave incentives for these new families settling in. And he also brought some Jews of Spain to resettle in the city, and that and that would basically revive the city's economy. And also talking about Mehmet II in general, he is one of the best military tacticians of Ottoman history. He ran a really steady government. When he first conquered Constantinople, he hired the former Byzantine aristocracy to work with him. And there's even a Ottoman Grand Vizier that was part of the Byzantine royal family that served under him. So you can totally see how Mehmet II effectively ruled Istanbul and how he revived the city as a whole to bring it back to its former glory.
All right. Then
Constantine the Great is somebody that they don't write chapters in a book about. They write books about him, hands down. If he was a person that just established Constantinople as the new capital, there's a whole dichotomy there of what he's done to civilization right then and there. If we talk about how he put Christianity to the fast track of being the official religion of the empire, there's another thing right there. Nobody comes close. He was somebody that knew that there was change that was going to be needed. I think he had some of the foresight to see that where the Roman Empire was going at that time and how something dramatic had to be done. And the implications that he did have outlasted his empire. They've outlasted his time. It was because of him that the world is drawn along the borders that we have today. I'd argue that.
Ooh,
nice.
so eloquent, man.
Oh my god, yeah. Should pay you to do my podcast. This is narrated.
Okay. I want to make a big disclaimer here and apologize to all of the fans of Ottoman history because I will try to. This is not a hot take, kind of. I'll try. I'm forced to trash Mehmet. Okay. Okay. First off, Constantine the Builder and Not So Great is really nice. He establishes something that will outlast and survive for so long, but a lot of other people like Theodosian and other people had a big role to play in that. He set the ball, he got the ball rolling, but I don't rate him much on military. Okay, and we're talking about the greatest of the three men here, and that's one department with Constantine I'm just not going to give him as much credit. Mehmet, I do rate him on everything else but military, because Daddy did all your work. Daddy got you that army. Daddy smashed the Christian coalition. Daddy did all the heavy lifting. The Ottomans failed 3 sieges before the final one. You got it in 1 month with the Hungarian cannon on your side and so many advantages. And it still took you a month, and it's still a struggle. That should have been possible. And after that, you struggle against some Albanians and Wallachians. Come on, man. You have 100,000 soldiers. The Christian coalition's already smashed. You should have done better. Great administrator, though.
Great administrator. It's very true. All right, Mehmed II, you got to defend yourself.
All right. You talked a lot about Basil II, but what did he really do with Constantinople? You talked about how future emperors wanted to emulate him. You talked about his military prowess, but what did he really do for the city of Constantinople? What did he do for the average citizen? Nothing. And going to Constantine, yes, he did found the city, but most of the major things that we think about Constantinople didn't really come from his reign. The Theodosian walls came 100 years after his death. You have Hagia Sophia that came during that, I'm pretty sure during the reign of Theodosius II also. And basically, I'm losing my train of thought. It's getting late here, but basically, basically, those two men didn't really do much for the city of Constantinople itself. While Mehmet II revived the city after centuries of decay, you can't beat that. He was the best ruler of Constantinople, Istanbul, Byzantium, whatever you want to name it.
All right, it's time for the founder.
So my benchmark when it comes to figuring out whether or not a ruler is actually competent and great is I use the term what was that person given when they came into office, and what did they have when they left office? Mehmet II was given everything, or you had to write. He was given an army. He had the infrastructure. He had everything that he needed. And he was going up against a power that had lost its fury a long time ago, and he basically had to go in there and just basically kick the door in. So yeah, it was an impressive conquest in the fact that he took an impressive city, but at the same time, he was going up against something that was on its last leg. And as far as Basil II, this guy is not remembered for anything other than the atrocities that he did. I mean, he's up there with like Vlad the Impaler, okay? He's known for like basically taking a defeated army, gouging their eyes out, and sending them back home. That's it. That's it. Did he do administrational stuff? Sure, I guess, maybe, yeah, but what was he actually known for? That.
Basil the Impaler. Nice.
Oh, you're killing
Eye
me.
gouger.
Myth, by the way, a video is coming out soon.
All right.